Hi, today we're here to read Front Desk by Kelly Yang, chapters 51 through 53. Chapter 51. I hopped and skipped over to the Topaz Inn the next afternoon to tell the security guard the good news. "You can rip up that ridiculous list of yours," I told him, but he just shrugged. "Better safe than sorry," he said. "But I just told you, Hank didn't do it. Neither did Mrs. Robinson, or any of the other black customers. Mr. Lorenz did it. He's the one you should put on the list." No matter what I said, though, the crazy security guard refused to get rid of his list. He kept saying, "It's a free country. I can do whatever I want." I wanted to shake him and say, "You're not getting it. That's not what free means. Free means innocent until proven guilty, not guilty no matter how innocent." I stormed back to the Cala Vista. Hank was in the parking lot chatting with some customers. As soon as he saw my face, he asked, "What's wrong?" He followed me inside the front office, and I told him what happened. "What do we do?" I asked him. Hank didn't say anything for a long time. Then he reached across the front desk and grabbed a blank piece of paper. "Do what you do best," he said, putting the paper in front of me. "Will you help me?" I asked Hank. Hank nodded. "Sure," he said. That afternoon we worked together on the letter. I wrote most of it, but Hank helped me with certain key words, like discrimination, a word I did not know before. "Dear Stores, I know that the security guard from the Topaz Inn gave you a list of bad customers. It's a list of black customers. He put them on the list because he seems to think that all black customers are bad. But that's, 1, not true, and 2, incredibly mean, cross out, discriminatory. I know it's not true because my good friend is black, and he is one of the kindest people I know. Also, I just solved a case involving a stolen car, and guess what? The thief was not black. Actually, he wasn't even a thief. He was the owner. That just goes to show you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. So I'm asking you to please tear up the list. Let's treat all our customers with kindness and respect and not judge anyone by the color of their skin. If you have any questions, please call me at 555-281-0482. Sincerely, Mia Tang, Assistant Manager, Cala Vista Motel. I was very proud of our little letter, and so was Hank. Hank said, "I hit the issue on the nose," which made me smile. I wrote out 10 copies of the letter by hand and went door to door to all the shops on our street. At most stores, the person inside barely looked at my letter and just put it aside, saying they'd read it later. But then, back at the motel, my phone started ringing. The first man from the liquor store called up. "Darn right you shouldn't judge a customer by the way they look. I mean, heck, if I judged all my customers by the way they look, I'd be out of business. Half my customers can't even walk straight," he said. I ticked yes next to liquor store in my notebook. The guy at the convenience store on our street called up next. His voice shook as he spoke. "I came over from the Philippines 7 years ago," I said, Mr. Abiad. "I'd forgotten what it's like to be judged. I'm ripping the list up right now." That was a yes for the convenience store. The laundromat called next. "I never used his silly list anyway. Clothes are clothes. Doesn't matter to me who they're on," said Mr. Bahagawati. Yes for the laundromat. 8 yeses later, it was just down to the other 2 motels, Lagoon Motel and Topaz Inn. I knew Topaz Inn was out, but Lagoon Motel I still had a shot at. I grabbed my letter and I headed over there again. The manager was an old guy with a raspy voice. He frowned when he saw me. "What do you want?" he asked. "Did you read my letter?" I asked. "Yeah, I read your letter," he said. "And?" "I don't know," he said. "Don't get me wrong, kid. I get where you're coming from. But you and I both know that every time we push that buzzer, we are judging someone based on the way they look. I mean, it's not like we're judging them based on their personality or how they eat a fig. We are making a quick 10-second decision based on what they look like," he said. "But that's different," I said. "How is that different?" "It's not based on their skin color," I said. "It's based on other things, like, are they walking funny, which probably means they're drunk? Are they pounding on the front door, or are they knocking politely?" "Yeah, but if you think about it." I could tell he was one of those people who just loved to argue, and we were going to be there all day, so I decided to cut to the chase. "Look, I've got 7 shops who've agreed to not follow the list, plus us. If you join us, great. If you don't join us, I'm going to write a letter to the mayor's office." "Gosh darn it, kid," he harumphed, throwing his arms up. "You and your letters." "Are you in or are you out?" I asked him firmly. There was a long pause. "Fine, I'm in," he said finally. In the end, even Topaz Inn caved in. I told our towel and sheet supplier, who also happened to be their supplier and was African American. Once he heard about this list, he marched over to the Topaz Inn and threw a fit, threatening to stop selling them supplies until they cut it out. Without a supplier for their towels and bedding, the Topaz Inn could not operate their business, so they had no choice but to get rid of their list. They apologized and blamed it all on their security guard, whom they promptly fired. As the security guard crawled by a day after the Topaz let him go, he hollered at me. "You happy now? You cost me my job, kid." I shook my head. From the way he was walking, I could tell he had been drinking. "We Chinese are supposed to watch out for each other. Not if you're being racist. My life's ruined because of you." I turned my back to him, but that just made him more mad. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you're sitting there in your nice air-conditioned office. You think it's all fun and games, don't you? Well, guess what?" he slurred. "It's not. You have no idea what it's like for the rest of us. You don't know what it's like to be fired, to have no money and nowhere to go. That did it." "You have no idea what I know," I yelled back at him. "I've been getting fired since before you could read. I could write a book on what it's like to have no money. You know what else I know? That's no excuse to treat people like dirt." The security guard walked away without another word. Chapter 52. There's a saying in Chinese that goes, "Never forget how much rice you eat." It's a reminder to stay humble, to stay real. Just because you have an important job doesn't mean you're better than everybody else. You still eat rice like the rest of us. Well, that security guard, he definitely forgot. He let the power of his position go straight to his head, and he used it to do horrible things. I wondered if that's what happened to Uncle Zhang's boss, too, when he took away everybody's passports. At the thought of Uncle Zhang, I felt the stirrings of hope. Did he give the letter to his boss yet? Uncle Yang called us from a payphone 2 days later. "You'll never believe it," he said into the phone. "The letter worked. I'm free." He told us that when he showed his